Hi everyone, and welcome to Real Life Talks. I'm your host Yvonne Heath, author of the book Love Your Life to Death and founder of the I Just Showed Up movement. So I'm so excited to have Chantel Coward today. Hello, Chantel.
Hi, thank you for having me.
I am so excited that we're having a conversation. We had a chat a couple of weeks ago, and I knew you had such an important message to share. So welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, so before we start into all that, I'd love you to just share a little bit of your background. You have an incredible professional background.
Right, so I hold a doctorate degree in clinical psychology, and I'm in private practice in Midland, Ontario. I've been in the field for approximately 2 decades, but have been in practice in Midland for well over a decade. I started out as a sole practitioner, and my practice now is a team of approximately 15, not all full-time necessarily, so some part-time, some full-time, and it's a multidisciplinary team with psychotherapists, social workers, psychiatrists, personal support workers, so we're able to treat our clients or our patients in their entirety.
Yes, and I love, and you also, I saw there's yoga, reiki,
yes,
art,
physical
play,
health,
yes, and what you address is the, as I say, the wholeness of wellness.
Yes.
Some people, when they think, okay, I have a mental health concern, a mental health issue, I will deal with just the mental health aspect.
Right.
But we always have to deal with mental, physical, and emotional. Do you agree?
All of us. I mean, I think a lot of people think about mental health conditions, diagnoses, but the reality is we all have physical health and we all have emotional health. And we absolutely have to be, it's not a luxury, it's a necessity to be nurturing our emotional health in order to be able to cope with life, because life's not linear, it's full of ups and downs. And so we need to have that resilience, that emotional health to be able to navigate life, especially the bad times.
Absolutely. So when you say, and it's funny because I had Peter Jennings on the show, and he did mention that you say life is not linear.
Yes, he likes that.
Yes, he does like that. So can you just sort of expand on that? What does that mean? Life is not linear.
Well, life's full of adversities. And I think about Benjamin Franklin's quote, you know, the 2 things that are certain in life, taxes and death. And I think you need to add adversity to that short list. You know, death, illness, job loss, affairs, whatever it may be, life is not linear. And people will often come into the practice and say, life sucks. My daughter loves that quote.
Yeah.
And I'm always saying, life doesn't suck. This is life. This is living. It's not linear. It's full of good and it's full of bad. So we have to figure out how to navigate the bad.
Absolutely. And I was also talking with Peter and saying it isn't always all grief or joy. It isn't mental health or you have a mental health issue. No. You can have a wonderful day and have moments of severe anxiety or feeling really down. It isn't, you know, there's bumps, and we have to accept that.
Absolutely.
Don't we?
Absolutely. We all have, there's core emotions that we are all to experience. There are some people that try to harbor sadness, try to harbor fear when they're meant to be expressed, healthily expressed. But yes, it is all on a continuum. But no one is, for example, self-esteem. Self-esteem isn't linear either. Okay. There will be situations, events, people that will rattle us, will cause us to feel less self-confident.
That's so important to say, isn't it? Because we either feel like we have self-esteem or we don't.
No.
When in reality, there are some days you say, you know what, I have got it going on today.
Yes.
I am full of confidence, and then maybe the next day you think, oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What happened? I thought I had it going on, and it kind of left.
But that's normal and that's natural.
That is so important to share. Yes, I love that, and I love your multidisciplinary approach because, but we all need that all the time, and isn't prevention such an important aspect?
There's not enough of it.
Right.
There's not enough of it, so it goes back to, you know, nurturing your emotional health, that being an absolute necessity, because that's not what's happening. Most people who come into the office aren't coming in to work on resilience, to work on ability to cope. They're already depleting, they're already quite symptomatic. So primary prevention is absolutely key.
Oh my God, this is like music to my ears, because I say, when, as you know, my whole goal and purpose and mission in life is to have us talk about grief before grief arrives, develop coping skills, strategies, create a soft landing. We wait until we're in crisis,
Yes.
until we're broken,
Yes.
until we feel broken.
Absolutely.
And then we say, oh my goodness, Chantel, can you fix me?
Right.
Ah,
Right.
that's very challenging, isn't it?
It is very challenging. And it's, all too often, and I think everyone does it at times, we resort to escapism and avoidance techniques. We don't, we all need courage. We need to move in the direction of whatever makes us uncomfortable, because if we don't move in the direction of that, it's just going to grow and grow and grow, right, and really erode us.
And
Yeah.
it does.
Yes.
And it does. And we're not even sure sometimes how it will show up, but it will show up mentally,
Absolutely.
physically, or emotionally.
Yes. A lot of the
Right.
family doctors in our community who refer to the practice will say, Chantel, I don't know what's going on with this patient. They, there's the symptoms are real, but there's nothing physical or organic to explain it.
Right.
And so then we get in there and we see quite often that emotion is manifesting physically, and it's causing them to be physically unwell.
Physically unwell. I
Yes.
can attest to that, because I remember in my career and when I was trying to navigate this new road and thinking, I'm going to leave my nursing career, I don't know what to do. And I felt such extreme chest pain. And as a registered nurse, I thought, okay, I'm either anxious or I'm having a heart attack.
Yes, yes.
So I actually took baby aspirin because I didn't know it was that painful.
But it was real.
And real.
Real.
And that's the thing when people say, well, it's all in your mind. Well, whether it is or not, it's still manifesting in a physical symptom.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's,
Absolutely.
we're so hard on ourselves, aren't we?
Absolutely.
We are. So what do you think, Chantel, I would love people to just hear this show and have a few takeaways. What is the greatest thing we sort of need to reframe and to change to be healthier?
Again, life is not linear. It's
Yes.
full of ups and downs. I think that has to be accepted. And we have to figure out how to overcome life's hardships. And I think we need to teach our children, our youth, how to be resilient. So that would be showing them our healthy ways of coping so that they can learn and or model those healthy ways of coping from us. We need to teach them that life is imperfect. Life is imperfect.
Yes.
Everyone's life is imperfect. And that helps children be non-judgmental, compassionate, empathetic. What would some other takeaways be? Just, it's so important to take care of your emotional health. And what that means simply is slow down, ground yourself, be honest with yourself. What's going on in my life? How am I handling what's going on within my life? And if you can't transcend those adversities on your own, you have to reach out for help.
Oh my goodness, this is just like gold to me, all of it. So going back to the children, there's so many people that feel like we need to protect children. We need to protect them from adversity and grief, where wouldn't it be so much better to grieve with them and to teach them
Absolutely.
resilience
Yes.
and how to be empowered, and that you're struggling too?
Absolutely.
Let's get through this together.
Parents, let's say they're coming in, they're working through a separation or a divorce or something like that, or whether it's they're dealing with grief, they really do try to protect those tears, protect that sadness from their children. And what they're doing then is they're not teaching them all of the core emotions that
Right.
that need to be mastered and need to learn how to be appropriately expressed.
And it is sad. And it's
is sad.
okay to cry.
It's an appropriate expression of sadness if you lose someone you love,
Yes.
or if your nuclear family unit breaks down.
Oh,
Right.
absolutely. And when we are afraid to cry in front of our children and show our grief, then they feel like, oh, well, maybe I shouldn't be crying.
Right.
Oh my goodness. So that is one huge, we just need to shift that and include children and help them to become more resilient.
Absolutely.
Yes. And
Absolutely.
the other thing that you said that I so often address is that we need to be okay with saying we're not okay.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's, we often think about, again, mental health as being having depression, having anxiety, having PTSD, but it's our responsibility to take care of our mental health, diagnosis or not. We have to take care of ourselves.
Yes, and we have to do, I feel like we have to check in daily. Just check in, how am I doing today? And if are you struggling with something? And be okay with saying, you know what, I'm kind of struggling today.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I'm all about, I call it the ABCs, but the A in that would be adversity. So you need to really sit down and think about, what is the adversity that's really weighing on me, or what are the adversities that are really weighing on me? And then you would look at B, the beliefs. So what are the thoughts or the worries surrounding that specific adversity? And the C, the consequences. What are the consequences of worrying about or thinking about the adversity in that way? And the D within that would be dispute, arguing with yourself, coming up with other ways of looking at the adversity so that you can transcend it. So an example would be job loss, let's say. That's the identified adversity. So the belief might be, I'm a failure, I'm going to be poor, we're going to have to go with less, there'll be financial stress and strain. And then the consequences of thinking in that way about that adversity is you're eating too much, you're drinking too much, you're having an affair because they get you, right? And then the D is, okay, the dispute. How can you look at that differently? I'm employable, I will find employment again, I will generate money again, we'll do fine with less, it will give us time to work on our marriage, right? So just reframing the adversity so that we can transcend it.
It is so important too, and I think so in that adversity, sure, feel that grief. Oh no, this is hard, I lost my job. And now what?
Now what?
Now what?
Yes.
Or this situation, okay, so I'm really unhappy. What can I do to change that? Because this situation, you cannot change. It happened.
It won't last forever.
And it won't last forever. That's the other, oh my goodness, such an important piece. And I say to people, they need something to hang on to remind them that change is the only constant, isn't it?
Yes.
So however you're feeling right now, it will not feel this awful forever. It will change, and it will change in a positive way if.
Yes.
But it's work.
It is work.
Right? And
that's work.
I think that's the other thing, that the whole, what can we do, that people are so busy, and that's why they don't look at this stuff. How can we, our poor busy people, do you have people, oh, I'm so busy.
Yeah,
that's all they talk about.
I think it's so important. It's sad that success is defined by money and by what people have.
Absolutely.
It's unfortunate because people are wearing busyness as a badge of honor, and
they so are, yeah.
And that's eroding people. You need to own your own schedule.
Yeah.
It's your journey, right? So you can let work dictate you, or you can, be in charge of your own journey.
They even see people and they're working, and their house is spotless, and they're driving kids all over the place, and they have 3 kids, and they're all in 5 activities, and they're running ragged.
Yes.
And I say, you're really not doing anybody any favors.
That's right.
By putting self-care on the back burner, because you will.
Not at all. A lot of people come into the office and they'll say, I used to be so strong. What's wrong with me? I used to be so strong. And they were strong. They are strong. But what's happened is they've taken so many hits, and they haven't taken the time to rebuild their resilience, their ability to cope, and so they're depleted. I believe we all have a limit. We only have a certain amount of resilience. And if we're not trying to fill that tank of resilience back up, then we're at risk for depletion, disease, disorder, burnout.
Right, which will make us less able to cope, which will make us busier because we'll have to deal with all of these other issues, as opposed to refilling your tank. But what we do is, we'll just drink more coffee or have, right?
Absolutely.
And keep running and ignoring our symptoms.
Yes.
And our bodies are very wise, aren't they? They speak to us.
Yes.
Yes. If you have an ulcer,
yes.
That's not, don't just take a bunch of stuff and just say, let me just ignore that. Yes. I love that you say your current passion or focus is how to remain intact during difficult times and the armor we require to remain emotionally resilient, and also the importance of how to strengthen our ability to navigate the inevitable bad in life.
Yeah.
We don't always get to choose,
No.
right?
No. No.
Yeah.
But the big piece is there are ways to increase your ability to cope with the bad. And that's the most important piece, is that it's easy to ride that wave when life is good.
Oh, absolutely.
But when life is bad, and it will be again and again and again,
Yep.
right? We have to all be better equipped.
Yes, and create a soft landing for ourselves. And again, the coping skills and strategies, and it's like, okay, I am dealing with this thing. Who knew that I didn't know this was coming, because life is also unpredictable.
Yes.
Right? And that's the other piece. That people are saying, okay, I've made this plan, this is how everything's going to go. Anticipate the glitches. When we're setting up for a show and we're doing anything, I'm like, okay, so where are the glitches? And it's like, oh, there weren't any. Well, that's a pleasant surprise. Be surprised when there aren't glitches.
Correct. Absolutely.
I think that's a better way to go, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Yes. So you and Peter Jennings and the lovely Forrest Willett, who I will also have on the show, are doing something together that is so extraordinary, and I'd love to chat about that for a moment.
Yeah, it'll be an amazing evening, or evenings. We'll have quite a few dates. We have quite a few dates in the works. We practiced relatively recently, and it will truly be amazing. We get to hear, Forrest's stories surrounding how he overcame, my goodness, numerous adversities.
Yes.
And then you'll get a chance to hear from Peter, who is a happiness expert. And then I focus on, psychological conditions and how to be able to deal with the symptoms of those psychological conditions and also remain intact while navigating life.
Right. So you're creating these events.
Yes.
Events that you'll have 3 speakers.
Yes.
And it's open to the public.
Absolutely.
And so what you had, the title is empowerment, resilience, something,
hope
a whole
is
bunch
in
of good
there,
stuff.
hope is in there, yeah. We've switched it a few times.
Yes,
but
yes. But the 3 of you are getting together to share these messages.
Yes.
And I love that, because going back, and Peter shared his story of writing his incredible book, Why Being Happy Matters, and then going through the darkest time of his life.
Absolutely.
The darkest time, and I was there at that time, and it was, to say painful is an understatement.
Absolutely.
And he's come through to, again, it's that acceptance.
Absolutely.
Isn't it?
Yes.
So I love that he's now sharing that story, because for a long time it was too painful for him.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then Forrest Willett, who, yes, he had a catastrophic.
Yeah, a horrific car accident. He had to learn how to walk, talk, figure out who his wife and son were again.
Oh, my goodness.
His story is absolutely amazing, and he is really inspiring, incredibly inspiring.
He is, and so I love that you're bringing author, and Forrest has also written his story, but having lived through this catastrophic event, and your many years of dealing or helping people to cope.
Yes.
And I have no doubt you've had your life a roller coaster.
Absolutely.
As well, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, self-care, you can't ignore it.
No.
I've learned that myself. You just cannot ignore self-care. You have to really take care of your emotional health.
Yes.
Because again, busyness, high achievement, those have been some things that have caught up with me. Right?
Absolutely. And so that is one thing that I also share. My 27-year nursing career, I was compassionate, and I mean, you don't know this yet, but I'm really funny, and I always made people laugh, but I was suffering silently.
Yes.
I wasn't empowered and resilient. And so you're saying you went through that in your career as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a quote that really resonates within me, but it's this idea of sort of looking intact on the outside, but inside you just can't see the dissolution, the wear and tear. Right, the wear and tear, and it's that same idea of what some of my patients would say to me, or clients, that I was so strong, and then you lose that strength, right, because you're just not properly prioritizing yourself.
Right.
You're not healing from the wounds or the those life hardships that we're enduring.
That are an inevitable part of this journey.
Yes.
Right? And some do have harder journeys than others.
Yes.
So, but we also don't know what our neighbor who has a nice shiny car and everything looks perfect on the outside.
Yeah.
I had that when I was divorced many years ago, and I had a very nice vehicle and everything, you know, I had a son and everything looked very nice. It was for the smile pretty for the camera.
Yeah.
And I was dying inside.
Yes.
So we don't know what people are going through.
No, but I encourage people to share their stories.
Yes.
Because so many people suffer in silence. They feel alone.
Yes.
And I think the more we talk about our weaknesses, what we've endured, our symptoms, whatever it may be, I think people, first of all, it shows everyone that no one is perfect. No one is invincible, invulnerable, immune. And also people feel less alone.
Oh my goodness.
And they can relate and identify with more and more people
Yes.
as people start to open up and share their stories.
Well, and I think that's when we think of PTSD, post-traumatic
Yes.
stress disorder. I know, I'm married to a paramedic.
Yes.
Hi, dear.
Yes.
And I was a nurse for many, many years. And I know that there's often times where we put on that strong front and we, you know what, everybody else seems to be handling this well, so I'm just going to pretend I'm doing okay. And the polite conversation, hi, how are you? I'm fine, thanks. Okay, yeah, that was pretty rough. Okay, well, call someone if you need something.
Yes.
Right? And that's, and a lot of times that's as far as professionals go, because we're in those roles, we're supposed to be the helpers, so I need to be strong.
Yeah, adhere to that higher standard.
Yes.
Yes.
So let's talk about what people in your role and those helping others, how can they be better equipped or be more resilient and empowered as they're serving people who are grieving, and you know, hearing those hard stories day in and day out is wearing.
Lots of supervision, lots of consulting, you know, with our peers, mentors, to be able to process, you know, all of the horrific things that we hear, because no one ever shows up with a happy story.
Right.
Although sometimes, you know, clients or patients will contact us to provide us with some pretty remarkable updates. But typically it's, you know, we always have to be ready to help that person, you know, achieve their goals, or to help them just improve, you know, their psychological state or whatever it may be. So self-care is incredibly important.
Mandatory.
Incredibly important. Absolutely, it's mandatory. Whether it be exercising, engaging in some hobbies, something that you don't expect of yourself. But I think we too have to sit down and be mindful of be mindful of our lives.
100%. And I had Natalie Harris, the lovely Natalie Harris, was on this show before, and she is a tremendous advocate for PTSD and self-care, and she talks about peer support groups. And I believe that we need peer support groups everywhere.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Psychotherapists and psychologists and teachers and educators, we should have those peer support groups where we can just say, I'm struggling. Does anybody have anybody feeling the same way? And I promise there will be others feeling the same way.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Provide them with that support, that encouragement.
Yes. Are we doing that? Are we doing better with that?
No. We
No.
we could be doing a lot better.
Yes.
A lot better with that.
Yes.
Because I think there's still stigma. There's still a lot of stigma too. So even if we offer these groups to empower people with knowledge about whatever it is that they might be enduring, there still is stigma, sadly.
Let's end the stigma right here and now. Let's just, right? We've all been there.
Yes.
I don't care if somebody looks, like I said, painted a pretty picture. They have struggled.
Yes.
They have had issues.
Yes.
I have had anxiety.
And the bottom line is, I think if our brain were placed with the rest of our organs, I don't think there would be stigma.
Right.
It's the most complex organ in our
Yes.
body, and I think its placement has a huge role in the stigma associated
That's so
with
interesting. Yes. And well, and the thing is that having these feelings, these stress, of course, why wouldn't you? Sometimes life is hard.
Yes.
And it's okay to say, it's hard, I'm kind of struggling here.
Absolutely.
I I would just love to see, what can we do? Let's go on the road and start peer support groups everywhere. In every, you said that's Natalie and Chris Piva, they've started these peer support groups across Canada for paramedics. We need them for everyone.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes.
Because it's not just about tragedy, it's about life stressors even.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people forget that we have positive stress in our life and negative stress in our life, and as you know, as a nurse, our nervous system can't differentiate.
It doesn't know the
between
difference.
Positive and negative, so we're just affected
Right.
by stress, and that cumulative effect alone can erode us.
Absolutely.
Without any adversity, just daily life stress.
Just daily life stress. And the thing is that if we have those conversations and we aren't afraid to say, I'm struggling, we can do so much better.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I think that we have just started something, and I think that I'm so excited to come to one of the events. I know people will be able to see the event with you and Peter and Forrest.
That's right.
It'll be on your website.
Yes.
Where can they find that information?
Yeah, www.chantelcoward.com, or you can check us out on Facebook.
On Facebook,
Yes.
ChantelCoward.com, and I would love to come for a tour of your
Yes, please
facility.
do.
I love this wholeness of wellness.
We'd love to have you.
Extraordinary.
Yes.
And I thank you for sharing your message, and I thank you for everything you do, because this is so important. The self-care, checking in, and being okay with not being okay.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
We all have our stuff.
Yes, yes we do. Yes we do.
I have a whole bunch of stuff. I parked it over there, but you know, that's life. And sometimes it's good stressors, sometimes it's not good, but again, we all have them.
Yes, because
Right?
it's life.
It's life, and if we share our stories and our imperfect selves, we'll all do so much better.
Yes.
Thank you so much,
Thank you for
Chantel.
having me, Yvonne.
Amazing to
Nice
have you
to meet
here.
you.
Nice to meet you too. So thanks for joining us today. Real Life Talks is about learning how to empower yourself, be resilient, and sometimes having conversations that we don't normally have. So if you want to be able to just show up for others, you want to be able to just show up for yourself, my call to action, as always, plan your life, plan your death, and then just love your life to death. And always bring your own tambourine to the party. Thanks. Bye for now.